This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Ben Frisch with Get Digital Support. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Don't know much about your business. I like being in this position. Sometimes people come on the show and we've had a relationship for a few years. So I am just as much an audience member as anybody else listening at home. So let's get right into it, Ben. What is Get Digital Support?
Yeah. So where to start? Well, I mean, in a nutshell, really, Get Digital Support is a digital marketing consulting agency. So we've got free resources, webinars that are also free to join on our website, getdigitalsupport.ca. Yeah, I mean, I was excited to join today too, because I mean, you were talking just now about just earlier about sort of your mission and serving and helping small, medium-sized businesses, and that's a very common goal for us too, is to really empower business owners to be digital marketing all-stars, as we say, and really kind of learn those tools that they need to succeed.
Awesome. I love it. I love that common thread there. So I was telling you before that we're, well, I didn't know if I said large marketing company, but we're across North America, pretty big.
Nice.
We started off with print for the first 15 years. We've been around for 20. So we have kind of the print market locked down, if I do say so myself. But then the last 5 years, we really got into digital ads. Still in video, but you'd find us on Facebook, you'd find us on Instagram, Google, YouTube, our sports website, but not social media. So when you say digital marketing, what does it you mean?
Yeah. So I mean, so we're kind of full service as well, like a full suite of marketing services for businesses, meaning like we operate actually under 3 different brands. And so I often use Get Digital Support as our introductory brand because it's an easy one to talk about, with being free services or free resources. So like digital marketing audits, marketing plan templates, things you can download and utilize. But then we also run a video production company called Frisch Media, and a web design and ad agency and ad and SEO agency called 20 Sharp. So yeah, like kind of that full spectrum of digital marketing services, whether that's, like I said, website, video production, advertising, or SEO. We kind of try and give people, a well-rounded package of services for their business.
Wonderful. So essentially anything digital. So will you help people learn how to post, what to post about, how to create videos?
Yeah, on the Get Digital Service side of things, absolutely. It's all about sort of education, and so a bit of a background story where we started from. If anyone's heard of the Digital Main Street program, I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got a contract. I got a contract when I was a one-man show back in 2019 to be the digital service squad for the South Georgian Bay area. And so that was when originally I was just a video production company, and then sort of expanded into this role of just being a helpful consulting sort of personality, just helping people develop their digital marketing tools, apply for this grant that was available at the time, but then also just like really taking their digital marketing to the next level. And it was such a broad range of topics that we would cover. Anything people had questions with, problems with, we were like became masters of Googling things to just figure out, okay, no, you can't find anyone else to help you with this, especially for free. So let's figure it out and get you the help you need here.
Love it, man. How long you guys been in business for?
Since 2015 myself. Late
Beautiful.
2015.
Beautiful, man. So it's a good, you're going on almost 10 years
Almost
now.
10 years, yeah.
Been a good ride so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, it's always ups and downs, as I'm sure you're aware, right? But definitely landing that contract really helped us out and allowed me to expand beyond just a one-man band and really kind of grow the company we've got four full-time, 3 part-time employees now.
Beautiful. I love it. I love hearing about small businesses grow, man. Not a lot of them do, it's we need to help those small businesses. So I love it. So all the questions on here have their purpose, but there are some questions that are a little bit more fundamental in finding out why we do the things we do, who we are, purpose, that kind of stuff. Is I look at work as much more than just something that I do for the vast majority of my day for a paycheck. It really is, how I utilize or how I implement my purpose onto this planet. Essentially, that's what I try to align the two things. If I'm going to do something for 10, 12, whatever hours a day, I hope it goes towards the end of my impact in some way, honing the person I want to be through my day-to-day work. So I think one of the fundamental questions to ask somebody when it comes to those types of ideas is why we do what we do. Like, what's the story? At the end of the day, this is all storytelling in some sense, taking a message from one person or group, bringing it to another and trying to impact them. We're storytellers. As humans, we communicate through storytelling in many ways. So we like to ask the guests on the show, what led you to this? A, what led you to this digital marketing that you're doing now? And B, what led you to running your own business? As it's not easy, not for the faint of heart. Most people don't choose that path. As I believe the last time I read the study, there's something like 1 entrepreneur per 75 employees, something like that. So it's a rare thing to run a business and not easy. What's the story behind those two things, Ben?
Yeah. So, I mean, my background is actually fine art. I came from a fine art background. I was, I went to school for digital media arts. Sort of came from, a passion for drawing and painting and creating things to thinking like, oh, I'm going to apply this to digital art in some way. I learned about animation and the program I took, it was at Seneca. It was very broad. So we covered all manner of digital media arts, which was really cool. But I came out of that program wanting to just like continue my pursuit of fine art. And so I was just like drawing and doing portraits and started into abstract art. And that was really my sort of first step into entrepreneurialism, because right, like you're just like, I'm making this cool stuff, I love it, I'm really passionate about it. What do I do? Like, I can't get a job, really. I mean, there's very few opportunities in that regard. At least I guess maybe more than I thought. But I was like, I want to sell this stuff that I'm making. So it was just a natural kind of progression, right? Of just like, I guess I'm an entrepreneur now. Like, I'm gonna start selling this. And I was doing, art shows and things, and yeah, and really making a push at being a full-time artist. And then as we do, I had different jobs that would help pay the bills, and landed a job at it was just like front desk at an ad agency in Toronto when I was living there. And within like 3 months, I worked my way up to a desk and was working client side at a agency. And long story short, got it back into more like digital marketing side of things through becoming or finding my way at a video production studio. And then that kind of got me back to where I started from, which was wanting to apply these skills I had of artistic, creative skills to digital media. And that's when I started picking up a camera again and learning, editing software and all these different things that allowed me to launch Be Fresh Media, my first company, which was a video production company.
Awesome, man. So it's kind of this natural flow, kind of going through. I'm hearing like a bit out of necessity, but also driven by your curiosity to create in some way.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, I've looked back on it because like the thing about it is, um, going from creating art constantly, like all the time and being a big part of my life to like almost not creating art, not even almost. I haven't really done art in a long time. And like as sad as that might seem, because I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, it was a big part of my life, right? But the way I sort of approached it now is like um my creative outlet is my company now. And I mean, it's somewhat the stuff that we do too. Like,
Mhm.
even though again, I'm like sort of removing myself more and more from the actual, hands-on editing and
Mhm.
filming and stuff. But now the way I try and look at it is that, yeah, my um that sort of, I guess, the drive of just making cool stuff, right? Making things that I can be proud of
Mhm.
has just shifted. Now it's no longer like a piece of art. It's like this company that I'm really proud of.
Yeah, which, I guess depending on the way you look at it, could also be, an extension of your artistry in some way. I mean,
Absolutely.
art, I think, I forget the quote, something cliche that I'm going to butcher, but, in the eye of the beholder, right? I mean, art can be so many different things that stimulates us in so many different ways. So, I am not an artist in the typical sense, was not a drawer.
Mm.
I'm learning more about painting and sculpting now through books, and I have a great appreciation for it. But what I have learned is that is not my skill set. Not innately born into me, don't have a desire to do it. I appreciate from a distance. But my art is through other ways. Fitness is
Yeah.
my big background prior to scaling businesses. So, kind of carving your body in a shape that, makes you proud. So I think art can be many, many different things. If it's stimulating to look at or experience, one could maybe call it art. So a business certainly can be one of those things. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting story, common in the entrepreneurial world, just wanting to build something ourselves. And often our curiosity or a set of skills have led us to this new place. What's the area you serve, Ben? What, like
Yeah. I
where?
mean, we're located in Collingwood.
Okay,
Um, and I mean, yeah, we are able to work with clients anywhere in, across Canada kind of thing. Um,
beautiful.
yeah.
Okay. And so pivoting a bit, you were talking about education, which is great. It's one of the main points to
Mhm.
this show is to provide quality information with our local community to increase their lives in some way, the enjoyment of their lives in some way. So we talk about myths and misconceptions as in this day and age. I like to preface it a little bit. There's information everywhere, especially when we're not asking for it. It's just coming at us constantly. Us being a marketing business, we are a part of the spread of information. I'd like to think it's quality and not being bombarding people with it, but more something desirable that people are looking for. So when we have inaccurate information in our head, we're basing our next decisions on low quality information. Obviously, that can have quite an impact on our lives. So for the businesses out there, as imagine you're B2B mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the businesses out that are listening, as a huge portion of our listeners are business owners, as only entrepreneurs come on the show, and entrepreneurs want to find out about other entrepreneurs and their businesses and services, but also B2C. So it's a combination of the both. We cater to both, but certainly some entrepreneurs are going to be listening, and we don't do everything that can be done for marketing. We do a lot, and there is a full suite of it, but there are other things that can be done. You do some of them. So when it comes to myths or misconceptions about your business, as the digital age, there is so much to it. Even being on the marketing side, so involved in digital media, we're learning new stuff weekly, daily sometimes, when we're talking about algorithms and new platforms and new trends and just on and on and on. Print was so easy. It was so easy, but we
Yeah.
needed to do better and add more things. We'll never get rid of print, but I got to tell you, it was way easier. Digital changes rapidly. So for the businesses that are out there that are simply saying to themselves, I believe this, two integral things to grow any business. You got to have a great product. You got to tell everybody about it. The telling everybody about it part could be a million different things. So where do we go? What do we do? So common myths and misconceptions for businesses out there that are thinking digital media sounds great. I don't have any digital media. I'd like to have some. What is it? What do I do? Do I start posting daily? Some people talk about it, or some people talk about spending a great deal of time on one post per week, more meaningful content. Do I have to get on every platform, still pictures to videos, et cetera, et cetera? So what common myths and misconceptions come up in your business that you can clarify for us? One or two, three, whatever you think.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Yeah. Like, what a loaded question, right? Like, I mean, you know, um, but I think, yeah, um, what's unfortunate, um, I find is that a lot of business owners will come to us kind of like, um, regurgitating things that they've heard other people saying, is it true that like, yeah, I think like you said, like I'm supposed to be posting like 3 times a week or once a day kind of thing. um and it's not that that's a myth that, by any means. It's just I think the what I like to I often joke that like part of my job is like a bit of a therapist. Obviously not in the clinical sense whatsoever, but it's like, but I recognize that being an entrepreneur is incredibly stressful, right? And when you have all of these things coming at you, right? Like you're supposed to be posting 1 time a day on every social media channel, and um doing a blog post, and running ads, spending $1,000 a month. And, these are all these kind of like um, things that people are being told constantly. And so my role, I find a lot of times is just kind of trying to like walk people back from that cliff, right? Of just like, it's not, it doesn't have to be so scary and daunting, right? Like, um, I like to I like to try and talk a little bit of sense into people, with those things. Like, um, it's it's um, it's more about what you can manage, right? Because I mean, yeah, sure enough, yeah, there's industry standard of like what is expected or what could be a great marketing strategy. Absolutely, but can you afford it? Can you sustain it? Can you actually execute that? And that's really what's more important, right? Is like, um, what is what is sustainable for you and your business? Because so another one is like, that you have to spend, thousands of dollars a month in order for digital ads to be effective, which is total nonsense. Actually, that one is because I mean, sure, like especially because they're hearing these kind of these, I don't know what you call myths, or these tips from certain people, whoever, um, without any context, right? Which, so I mean, like, yeah, okay, if you're advertising to a global audience, then yeah, like $100 a month isn't going to be a drop in the bucket. But I mean, if you're advertising to, if you're a local contractor and you only servicing the South Georgian Bay area, um, you can get away with a lot less than that, and it can still be very effective, right? So that's, yeah, really, um, what I like to do. Just like let's talk some sense into people, right? Like, I'm sure you must do that a lot too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the therapy side of thing. I mean, I am a counselor on the weekend at an
No.
addictions facility, and I do that because it's been in my life, it's been in my family's life, and it just fills the cup right up. What I never thought is that running a marketing business and addictions counseling would align so
Right.
perfectly. But yeah, I mean, it really is. So what I'm hearing from you is like, don't panic. There's a million
Right.
things out there. Let's find out what your goals are and find out what's sustainable for you at this chapter of your business's journey. Let's start there. That's good. Grow as we grow, kind of thing, which is what I tell my people. Like, yeah, we all want the world. You know, if I need to lose 100 pounds, it's like, I want a 6-pack tomorrow. It's like, okay, it's a great goal. It's a great goal, but let's just start with these small steps. You know, I don't know if you've ever read Atomic Habits, but he talks about getting better 1% a day. And that's very
Right.
sustainable rather than wanting everything now. For me, building a business is built on deferred gratification, not instant gratification. And a lot of us want the stuff now. So I find myself doing the same thing, but I'm glad you clarify that, because it's really just like, breathe. Let's find out where you are right now, and let's talk about some steps that can move you forward rather
Mhm.
than, grabbing the moon right now. And if you can't do that, it's okay. It's just small steps, essentially.
Yeah, and we actually have like a digital audit process, so people could sign up for it for free on our website, and essentially that is a report that we'll put together looking at all of your digital properties with just sort of an action item list of like, here are priority list things, like here's what you should be focusing on. Um, and usually it's like, it's the basics, right? It's like your website is not easy to navigate, or it's missing pictures of you and your products or whatever, really fundamental things that are just like, let's get these checked off, and then we can build on that.
Now, let me ask you something, because I'm a big believer in this. I wrote a little book on it behind me there. And some people cringe when they hear what I'm about to say, but it seems like you already got this dialed in, and I'm curious as to why. Why give free stuff, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're still working on that model, to be honest. But really, so there's a couple reasons. I mean, one, we developed this tool um, as this digital service squad. So it was a free service that that we developed, that we really honed over the course of that contract. Um, and so for one, I want to keep sort of the spirit of that program alive, even though the funding is no longer coming, and our contract is now expired. But uh, but it was, the spirit of that program was just really incredible in just helping people for the sake of helping them. But also, as a business owner, it's a bit of a loss leader, right? Where we're just like, we are trying to grow our audience by providing some free value, and the same goes for our webinars, right? So by just kind of growing our audience that way, we can then eventually, let them know, kind of like your podcast, right? Like, we're growing the audience in a way to um, educate, but then also to grow our audience and let them know, we're here for other things too if you need us.
I love it. I really hope people heard that, because what the book is title is Giving Away the Secrets, and I talk about lead magnets, which essentially your webinar is, the other
Right.
free services are, this podcast is. So I encourage our clients to think about things that they could offer free, pre-purchase, to
Yeah.
build some trust, to actually create some work that's high in value, but not giving away everything in the kitchen sink. You obviously don't want to go. You don't want to lose money. This is to grow your business and hopefully make more money. But people don't often attribute growing a business and giving away something free as, how can those things align? And it really is building that relationship and building a trusting audience prior to them purchasing. I mean, Costco built a massive multi-billion-dollar conglomerate on try before you buy. You walk past the counter that you were never even expecting to buy that cheese. You didn't go there for cheese, and here there is 10 different trays of cheese that you may like to try for free. Here it is, and you walk out with $25 worth of cheese. And now that's happened, over 1 billion times since they've been around. So it's this nice way of providing free education, showing people that, I think anyways, it seems like you're doing the same thing, that we care and we want to give value first. We put money into this, we put effort into this to provide an impact on your life in some way. And if it doesn't answer all your problems, or if you like it and you want to continue, give us a call. I think it is the way businesses should do business these days. Competition has gone up, expectations have gone up, our audience intelligence has gone up, and I think they need a little bit more to take that leap into giving us a try. So I just talk about it, giving something pre-purchase.
Yeah. And I think too, like, it's really, like, I don't know, I lost my train of thought there.
You want to pivot?
Well, no, I think, oh yeah, no, I was going to say that, that at the end of the day, right, it's not stuff that is like, unknown to everybody else, right? Like, it's not like I'm making this stuff up. I mean, if a business owner really wanted to, they could Google it, they could learn it themselves. Right. So, I mean, that's where I feel like I'm not really giving away, like, the secrets of the internet here. I'm just like, I'm trying to like bring people up to speed. And because at the end of the day too, the reality is I find like clients who are more educated just make way better clients, right? So I mean,
Oh, sure.
I'm almost doing myself a favor if we do end up working with some of these folks. It's like now we've given them, more of a base to work with, a better understanding of, what a website requires, or what makes good digital advertising. So it's, yes, I'm helping them, but I'm helping me too.
Yeah. And that's the point that I was hoping you would go over. Is it's a great business strategy for many different categories to provide value in advance. Education, so you can have a better relationship with your client if they become a client, because they know a bit more now, but you're providing value in advance, which is great. And then, you said that information is on the internet, but how do we find it? Right? Like, and is it good? Because if I see you all over the place, you're in my community, I see some other businesses that I know working with you, and then you put out something free of charge. I've already built a relationship with you from a distance. Maybe we haven't met yet, but I'm almost like back checking you with the work that you've done out in the community. And now you put out something free. It's like, okay, there's already some value that I've built with this individual. Now I'm willing to look at their stuff rather than just going on some random rabbit hole on the internet of this endless rabbit holes. So I love that you guys do that. I think it is a great way to build a business and to show people that you're willing to help first. That says a lot. Somebody's going to help me, not ask for anything in return, just to help me. Then yeah, of course, I'm going to want to work with that person at some point. Outside of business, Ben, we like to talk about the individual, see what kind of person we're talking to, character traits, what their mission, all that kind of stuff. First, we like to talk about the fun. So when I ask, what do you like to get up to for fun? Most of our entrepreneurs say, I love my business. And if that was going to be your answer, it's a great answer, but we want a little bit more than that. So outside of business, what puts a smile on your face, man? What do you get up to?
Yeah. I mean, being in Collingwood, it's about getting outside, being in the outdoors, started back into snowboarding just a couple of years ago, and mountain biking last year as well, which is very exciting. It's like why we moved here, and it's fine. It's taken me, a good 5 years to get back into it, but we're there.
Awesome, man. So is there a family when you say why we moved there?
Yeah. I've got a wife and a 6-year-old son.
Awesome, man. So you guys do all the nature stuff together?
Yeah, a lot of hiking together, and then taking my son through snowboarding lessons right now. So I'm really excited to. Yeah, he's 6. I mean, he can get on board and start.
But where do you do it?
Oh no, sorry, not right now. I mean, like
This season.
now in his life, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little past the blue being shut down, but but this year, yeah, it's the second year on a snowboard, so we're really excited about that.
There is something just magical about nature. I cannot tell you how many. We're up to somewhere around 200 episodes or something. We ask this question every time, and nature is a common theme. Our animals getting outside, sports, movement. I don't know. I don't know what the magic is about it. I mean, I love the science side of it. So if you listen to like Andrew Huberman or these types of guys and they talk about the benefit of sunlight, I understand biologically what it's doing, but I don't know. It seems like there's something more to nature. It's a wonderful thing. Now, outside of fun, this is another big question that we ask on the show. We talk about hard things, doing hard things. I mean, every person that comes on the show is an entrepreneur, and that's not easy. I have all my rules for life tattooed here. One of them, number 4, is do hard things, to remind myself that hard may not feel good, hence being hard, but there's some value in it, and to not always stay in that comfortable zone, that easy zone. So we like to highlight our trials and tribulations in life in general. I still feel like there is a stigma out there. Certainly, I've noticed this at the counseling side of things, the addiction clinic, that we keep down our failures in life. We don't talk about them. We don't show our emotions, especially for the men, but for women too, to only let you know the things that have gone well in our life. And I think we're leaving a lot of value on the table. I like looking at it as we're either winning or we're learning. There's no failing unless you quit, unless you pack it and life ends. Winning or we're learning. That's the way I like to look at it. So we like to ask the guests on the show, any hardships, trials and tribulations you've been through that can help shine a light on the value of going through these things and sharing them amongst each other so we can learn from one another, to embrace these hardships rather than run away from them. That probably in the moment it felt pretty shitty, right? Hard things sometimes don't feel so good. But when you look back in hindsight, you wouldn't remove that experience from your life because it was an integral ingredient to the recipe that makes up you now. Anything come to mind that you're comfortable with sharing?
Yeah, really. I mean, so I've had celiac disease my entire life, meaning I should not have ever been eating wheat. But here's the kicker. I did not actually discover this until I was about 37 years old.
Okay.
And I mean, like, in terms of like, hardships that one might overcome, I admittedly, it's not that there's definitely worse things that can happen. So I'm grateful for that. But, in terms of like my, development as just a human being and even an entrepreneur, like, basically I my symptoms just started getting incredibly, worse and worse and worse, leading up to that sort of 37-year marker. Um, and I mean, I wasn't just ignoring it, but I had for a long time. That was a real uh, uh, thing that I was doing. Obviously, just, oh, it's fine, like, all these symptoms. But over that 10-year period, I was really like started seeing different specialists and trying to figure out like what's wrong with me. Um, and I mean, it wasn't until like just a quick conversation with well, it was um Chris Savage. He's a Chinese herbal medicine doctor. And he just said, it's your diet, something in your diet. And I said, okay, let's figure this out. Uh, but basically, what I found from that, and once I actually straightened things out, got my diet, which is now very strict, because like I can't do wheat, I can't do dairy, coconut, almonds, like there's a whole handful of things. I mean, like garlic, onions, they're really difficult for me. Um, but like, and so when we talk about hardships, I think the hardest part is sticking to that, right? Like I just went to Toronto this weekend. Going to a restaurant is like very difficult, can be. I mean, it's definitely better than the last 10 years ago in terms of accommodating these kinds of restrictions. Um but I think the most important thing for me was like, the realization that um that as an entrepreneur, I am my own uh like I am the biggest asset for the business, right? But I'm also the biggest liability for the business too, right? And so because once I figured all this out, that I was celiac, and this has been plaguing me my entire life, it changed me so drastically. Like I honestly don't think it was a coincidence that it was around that time that I like landed this contract. It was able to like expand the business and like start growing because I was taking care of myself. And so like that's where I'm just like happy to share that with people because it's like, you know, I think as entrepreneurs, it's so important to take care of yourself, whether that's your physical health, your mental health, like, um, and it was like also because of that realization too, like I go to therapy, like I'm, keep myself in check. Like now it's like I talk about things like, um, instead of just ignore it. Like I put it out in the open. If I talk to my wife or, a close friend about it, then okay, now it's in the open. I got to do something about it. I need to take action. Um, and that's so important, right?
I love it, man. First off, I appreciate you sharing the story. I know, well, I don't know your story, but but prior to marketing, helping businesses scale, it was all fitness for me. So my
Right.
main three skill sets were movement, nutrition, and sleep. And
Sleep is my next big one.
I think they're the foundation for life, man. I mean, really,
Yeah.
no matter what kind of shit comes at you, if you feel good, the vast majority of the time, you're more resilient. I think you'll be able to handle it better when you're chaos internally and mentally. I think the smallest little thing can tip you off the scale. So, I feel for you for going through that. I've dealt with many clients that had celiac disease, Crohn's disease, a number of major obstacles,
Mhm.
but they all turned it into something that made them better. Whether it was through necessity or choice, it doesn't really matter. It all um, resulted in them living this higher quality of life because they got their movement dialed in, they got their nutrition dialed in, they got their sleep dialed in. And I think that makes just a much more effective human. So I'm glad it's essentially you went through these difficult times, very sensitive to a lot of different foods that most of us take for granted, has now led to a much more intention when it comes to self-care, you would say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like it's so critical, right?
So that's a
It-
huge win then, you know?
yeah.
I say this to some people, like sometimes I gotta get my ass kicked to learn how to fight. And the idea is to learn from other people's wisdom. Like you go get your ass kicked and I'll learn how to fight from you without getting my ass kicked. But if you know me, I usually have to run into the wall to find out that you don't run into walls. Learn by experience. So it seems like that was kind of forced upon you. But either way, the point of all this is you had something very difficult that's lasted for a long time. And it has now resulted in rather than beating you down and staying in your room type of thing and doing nothing with it, it's empowered you to be more intentional about self-care. And you equated landing a contract, building a business, and all of these great things through something that no one would wish upon anybody else. I'm not saying I wish people had celiac disease or I don't want it, but the fact is just it's this amazing perseverance and resiliency about humans. When stuff gets thrown at us, especially really difficult stuff, it doesn't have to be so bad. It can be viewed as an opportunity. There's a great book called The Obstacle is the Way. And that's what they talk about. Some of these great leaders throughout the last 2,000 years, faced with plagues and fires and all these types of really horrific things I wouldn't want on anybody, but they wouldn't remove them from their life because through those hardships, they learned how capable they were. They learned new skills. And almost always those two things led them to impacting more people. So to a degree, I hope we all go through some hard things. I don't think you can get through life without some scars anyways. But I think it gives us an opportunity for some level of growth. And I'm glad it did for you. I think that's great, man. And dialing our food in, again, cliche, we are what we eat. I think that's very much true. And I think there's a lot of crap out there. So I mean, to be intentional about our food, I don't think would hurt us too much. So I really appreciate you sharing that, man. And the other point you made is just talking about it. I don't know exactly what it is. Like, I haven't figured this out at the clinic on the weekends. But if I keep something in, it just kind of festers. If I write it down, that's good. But when I talk to somebody about it, it removes the shame, right? Because now it's out there.
Yeah.
And I then check how they respond to me. Almost never negative. It's rare that you share a hardship with somebody and they say, "Oh, you're a baby, grow up," whatever. I don't know that I want to be around those people anyways, but something about airing out my grievances with another human being seems to be cathartic. It seems to just kind of wash the system, a bit of that trauma, a bit of that stress. So you really touched on 3 vital points there that I try to implement in my life. I hope people were listening to that. I'm glad you found that to be true, because celiac is no joke. It sucks.
Yeah.
And you turned it into a win.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Back to your business. If you could, hard question, if you could distill all that you have in your head, all the value that you've learned, all the stuff that has become common to you and not common to your listeners, and distill it down into 1 or 2 vital sentences that you wish the audience knew about what you do, Get Digital Support, or any one of your other digital marketing business, as they're all kind of seem to complement each other. If you could distill all that information down into, I wish my audience knew this or that, what would it be?
Oh man. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think we kind of covered it too, in that it's just like, I wish that business owners knew that it doesn't need to be so scary and difficult, and and like you said too, it can happen like little bit at a time, right? 1% a day, right? Getting better. You're not going to have we have this conversation a lot too when we talk about like search engine optimization, right? It's like, it's not going to be ranking on Google tomorrow for incredibly competitive keywords. Like, we're going to make small improvements day by day or week by week, and make those improvements over time. And I think that's really what people need to understand, is that there is value to that long game, because it's gonna just well, I mean, there's no other way, really. In a lot of times, there's just like, that's the way it's done. But at the same time too, it's like, it usually allows you the time and energy and thought to put in all of the kind of correct and most valuable kind of impact into those changes, right? And instead of just rushing it and doing it poorly, right? I mean, you could look at the same thing as for like a renovation, right? It's like, if you just throw your walls up today, as fast as you can, they're probably going to be pretty shoddy.
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't have to be so scary. So
Right.
what do you, audience members sitting at home and they're like, God, my messaging sucks. Product is great. It's all built on word of mouth, which I now know is a strategy that's just built on hope. It's not something I can measure. It's not something I can quantify. I can't base the next 2 quarters in 2024 on word of mouth. They've now understood that, which so many businesses don't understand that. You can't measure word of mouth. Don't know when the next one's coming. So I now know my messaging sucks. What do I do? Do I just make a call? Is that the easiest thing? Like, what do I do? Go to a website? What would you say is the first step?
Well, for us, yeah, I mean, is our digital audit process, right? So I mentioned that, we've got this process. I mean, it's really it's a bit of a quoting tool, to be quite honest. Like, it allows us to really look at what our potential clients have first to say, okay, here's, you don't need a brand new website. Like, maybe your website is pretty great already. Like, and it's workable. Maybe it's just a matter of updating some things, making some changes to make it better. Change your messaging, right? Instead of like throwing it out, because we find that a lot too with our industry, right? Is like there's a lot of companies that are just willing to. I feel like there's an expression here, but I can't think of it. But like sell you the whole package when you just need a piece of it, right? Um, and so that's where, again, we're trying to build that trust with this digital audit process, to say, look, you don't need this, you actually need that instead, and hopefully try and guide them in the right direction.
Yeah, I love it. We call it leaky holes in the boat. Rather than selling you the whole boat, you may
Right.
just need a couple of patches here and there. Just find out what's missing. And then the second part you said, like, let me just ask you flat out, Ben, does marketing take time?
Yeah, lots of time.
Thank you. Can I bring you on our pitches, please? They're like, can I get this done in a month? Man, come on. I
Right.
try to relate it to how long did it take you to build trust with your best friend or your spouse? Did you do that in a day? If you could have tracked all the hours and interactions, and every time you gave her flowers, she didn't like that one, so you tried another one, took her out for steak, found out she's a vegan, and did you just say no and then it doesn't work, stop? Or did you keep trying? Messaging really is like building that relationship with a friend, with a loved one. You got to build trust. You have to connect with them. If somebody can do that in a weekend, please let us know. It'll change my business drastically. Otherwise, it takes time. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Ben, something that I love to ask, it is my secret question. I don't put it on the questionnaire before we wrap up here. I only talk about a handful of things on the show. I really only talk about a handful of things in life. I was once told, study broadly, study many different things, surface level, find out what you like, narrow your path, and then study deeply. And you'll find yourself, 3, 4, 5 topics that you really dig. So I talk about fitness. That's a big one. Health, really, fitness is a part of it, but health, entrepreneurship, mentorship, purpose, impact. Those are community. Those are the big ones that I talk about. And so this question is about impact. It's one of the things that I now think about the most over the last 10 years or so. And I was very lucky to have a great mentor in my early 20s when I was kind of floundering, didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was going. And she kind of planted these really deep seeds to encourage me to think about my impact. Essentially, I was born, I will die. What does that equate to on this planet? Do I even care? Well, it turns out I did after she explained why caring was a cool thing. I wanted to be cool. But she essentially said, reflect on your impact up to this point. What do you want your impact to be for today? I just broke my own mute rule, my notification. I don't know if you heard that. But anyway, she said, reflect on your impact up to this day. Then be intentional about your impact for today. What do you want it to be? And for as long as you're here, what do you want your impact to be? And some people take that as legacy. I don't really care so much about legacy because I'll be dead. I won't know how it will feel. My impact, I want it to have while I'm here, and I know what I want it to be. Very curious about humans, human potential, why we do the things we do, and how we're trying to make this world a better place, or do we even care about making it a better place? I'd say most of the entrepreneurs that come on here really do. So I'd like to ask you, Ben, what would you like your impact to be, man?
Oh my goodness. What a secret question to drop on someone.
Yeah. It's my bomb.
Yeah. Especially without the luxury of time to think about it.
Yeah.
But geez, I mean, maybe I guess people would go to, like the legacy piece as an easy out. An easy,
Could be your answer. Sure.
yeah. But I think, I mean, like, I think what? I think the, um, the pandemic maybe like, made us all think about a lot of things in a lot of different ways, perhaps. But for me, I think it was, um, it was that, uh, that relationships are the most important thing, right? It's like, um, objects, material things like, um, and even just like, money, success, like it doesn't really matter, right? And so like, um yeah, it's about relationships and just like strengthening those and having them, with people you care about. um I don't know why I took the pandemic to learn this. I think, it was good, well, because we were all so isolated, right, at times.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
um and I think because a lot of those relationships were put under stress too, um with different things. Of course, we won't get into it, but it's like, yeah, and I'm sure everyone had a whole, you know, uh, spectrum of experiences there. But yeah, no, I think it's about, yeah, just like you said, like while we're here, just making sure we're building those relationships and doing what we can with the time we got.
I like it, man. Yeah, the pandemic, it's an interesting thing. Sometimes with humans, we're stubborn. Something needs to be taken from us before we recognize its importance. And I couldn't agree with you more, man. At the end of the day, my last conversation, if I'm lucky enough to have it with myself, I'm not going to be going through a list of, I closed that big deal. That was awesome. Or I bench pressed that thing. Or, I bought that car. It's just going to be like, who's around me right now as I'm leaving this plane? And those are the relationships that I cherish: family, friends, children, whatever it is. I think really impacting other people can make us feel good about ourselves. And this is positive reciprocating cycle. I couldn't agree with you more, man.
Yeah,
Just
and
making people feel good.
yeah, I mean, if I could add one thing too, it's like I've been
Yeah.
thinking about this a lot lately, just because I think like on my like social media feeds and stuff, I'm just seeing all this um lately, and maybe it's just me, my algorithm or something, but I've been getting a lot of like, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos just like spitting out stuff and just talking, and you know, and like obviously there is this like, oh, and Mark Cuban is another one I just saw the other day. So, and I think like, to me there's just this attitude or this idea that we're supposed to idealize these people, right? Because of like, sure, they're entrepreneurs and they've accomplished so much, but the way I look at it is um like it I don't claim to know a lot about them, but I mean, in my opinion, like you can't get that big without stepping on a lot of people, or just like, or on the backs of other people. And I mean, when you hear about just the way that, some of the like Amazon like factories operate and things, it's like I want nothing to do with that. Like if there's one thing I want for my company, it's like, and as it relates to like just, that relationship and uh legacy piece, right? It's like I don't want to be idealized as like some, I never want to be a billionaire. I don't even want to be that wealthy. It's like, I want to um allow my employees to like, own a house, or like go to, put their kids through college. Like to me that is so much more important than like me owning a sports car. Like that's just a big, F you to everyone else who works for me, I think. So um it's just, yeah, not my jam.
I love it, man. All that distilled into like one sentence for me is your care for other people. You said relationships. You don't care to be super wealthy if it was, if that wealth was the result of not helping the other people who helped you get there. So essentially the people who work for you, you want them to have a house, feed their family, give them new opportunities. That's the stuff that I think about, man. I think that's the good stuff right there. Trying to increase the quality of somebody else's life while increasing the quality of your life is awesome, man. Ben, let us know, how can we connect with you? For the people who are listening, especially the entrepreneurs that are like, digital media is so scary. What do I do? How do I get a hold of you?
Yeah, so getdigitalsupport.ca. Like I said, we've got all our webinars. We've got some free resources. If you sign up for an account, you can get a free digital audit. And we will, it's a really simple, easy process. And we'd love to do more of those for any of your listeners.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm going to do it too. Ben, it was a pleasure, man. I appreciate you letting us go deep and learning a little bit more about you and your why, and what impact you want to have, but the way you're using your business to help other local businesses thrive in your own community, even though you can go much further than your own community, certainly having an impact on your team, family, nature, all that kind of stuff. It's been a pleasure, man.
Thanks. Yeah, my pleasure. I really enjoyed having you. I enjoyed being here, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely, brother. You have a great day, man.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.